but more as a child of privilege who I think I think they rejected privilege to some degree and focused on both her and her husband had a life of service that when you have the kind of wealth they were born to, you don't really have to, right? So while we might disagree with the policy decisions or the legislative agenda that her husband had, I think we could still agree that they both were involved in public service for their entirety of their lives. I also think they've also, I think that they set a fine example for what a marriage should look like in America and what a family unit should look like in America. And she did a lot of things for literacy and hunger that she didn't get credit for. I don't know. I hate that both conservatives, because what you see a lot is this on the conservative side is this evil Fresno State, I think it was Fresno State, Professor Rhonda Gerard has said evil, nasty things about her, but they ignore the fact that Roger Stone, Trump's one of his henchmen, has also said horrifying, called her a drunk, said she's in hell, said if she was cremated, she'd take 3 days to burn out because all the alcohol. I mean, really fucked up shit. And
no one's really uttered a word about that. Well, on any media outlet, they don't really say anything about it.
Well, you do see it like on Huffington Post and NPR. You do see it, and that's what's crazy about journalism today, is it's so agenda and bias driven. And I think both Rhonda and Stone are assholes. I mean, there's clearly people that are grieving her death, right? And one thing that boggles my mind is you saw Matthew Mellon, the billionaire banking heir, die, basically because of his addiction. We lost Vern Troyer. They haven't said it was suicide, but it was either suicide or addiction related, right?
Yeah, I think it was closer to alcohol poisoning.
Right.
But he was suicidal.
Right. And Avicii, is that how you pronounce it? The DJ?
That's Avicii.
Also alcohol related. And you've all seen all these articles of these three guys that obviously were interesting celebrities, right? And interesting talents, right? But they were all felled by addiction, and at least for Mellon, he's a father, right? He had 3 kids, and he was more concerned with partying and doing his thing than he was about parenting his children. No one's saying anything bad about those 3 people, right?
Right.
But Barbara Bush, who did leave a life of service, we're all okay with slinging feces at her right after
I think a lot of people probably look at her as being complicit with whatever it is her husband did or whatever it is her son did. It's just too close. And
how are you complicit for something your son did?
Well, because Barbara's considered the head of the family, and if he was unsure about something, he definitely would have gone to her about it, or told him to go this, that. I don't know. I mean, like I said, we can draw lines of distinction to this stuff all day.
Did you ever interact with either of them?
Yeah, I did. I actually, I was part of a film series at the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston. It's funny you brought that up. Where they would have local Houstonians pick a film and screen the film.
Okay.
And Barbara Bush actually came to my screening. We were both part of the film series that year. I think they picked like 4 or 5 people at a time.
Okay.
So she had screened hers maybe 2 sessions before I did, and she actually came out. And Matt Sanzala took a picture of me and Barbara Bush.
You got that's pretty cool.
I've never seen the picture.
So, oh, really?
Yeah, because I think it went straight into their archives. Like he didn't even get to keep a copy of it.
Yeah, but was she friendly? Was she cordial?
Yeah, I mean, she was cordial. I mean, she's a grandmother. She's an older woman. She's not.
Well, there are plenty of bitchy grandmas out there.
Well, I mean, to certain grandchildren, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I'm married to the best grandmother there is.
Yeah.
So I'm a little bit biased, but she was very cordial. She was very. She did. I mean, I was showing Wild Style, which is a film about the earliest days of hip hop's culture, which showed graffiti, DJing, breakdancing, as well as MCing. So it wasn't necessarily something that was in her comfort zone, but she still came out. She wanted to see the rapper that was a part of the film series, whatever. I don't
you gotta respect that open-mindedness, and that's the thing that's the scary.
Getting lost in this. Obviously, we can. Nobody's gonna die perfect. Nobody's gonna die with a clean slate. Everybody's gonna have the good stuff that people remember about them, and there's gonna be some things bad that people are gonna remember about them that they may not let go in post life.
Right. What was it? Waylon Jennings who said, or maybe Merle Haggard, I got accused of a bunch of shit I didn't do, but I got away with a bunch of shit I didn't get caught. I mean, it's, but it's this new thing where if we don't agree ideologically with someone, we've just got to assassinate him now. I mean, Kanye West and Shania Twain. Okay, you saw Shania Twain apologize for saying if she was a citizen, she would have voted for Trump.
Right.
And then, of course, Kanye is getting an unbelievable amount of heat. You know, this is the guy that got up there and attacked W
Right.
back in the day, but now is supporting Trump. And they're, you know, I mean, the left is got daggers and swords and arrows that are, you know, on full attack. What do you have any? Yeah, I mean, should I apologize? Should Kanye be afraid because he's speaking his truth?
Shania is not a citizen, so she shouldn't really be talking about that kind of stuff. For one, she shouldn't be giving her opinion about who she would have voted for.
See, I disagree. Why can't people talk about anything? Free speech.
Yeah, free speech, and then when your fan base when you realize your fan base is against it, then you got explanation tweet 1 through 4.
Well, do you limit your political discourse? Like, do you think you're less than authentic because you want to sound? I can't imagine you do. I mean, I think you speak your truth, period, right?
Yeah, I'm not. I don't consider myself less authentic. I put my political views out there before and got, you know. Here's the thing. I'm a Texas artist. A large percent of my fan base is right here in the state of Texas.
Okay.
But this is a red state, so there's a possibility that, you know, at least 40 to 50% of my fans probably don't agree with me politically.
Okay.
On a lot of items. So let's say maybe I'm a leftist and they're on the right. And I remember the first time I voiced an opinion about politics, either way, right? Like the first comment was probably about Barack Obama.
Okay.
And then I remember the comment distinctly where the guy was like, "Oh man, you're down with Obama? I thought you were Trill," you know? Yeah, what? exactly. So that's when I realized, okay, I'm going to try to, you know, stay as in the middle of this as I can until culturally I have to pick a side. You know what I'm saying? That's my thing. Because
did you feel predisposed in the 2008 primary to support Obama over Hillary because of skin color?
No, I was against her because of the super gangster comment and all that kind of stuff. I had legitimate reasons for not liking Hillary Clinton.
No one likes Hillary.
And it became a conundrum when it became time to vote for president because I wasn't about what Trump's philosophies and policies, whatever you want to call it. I wasn't down with that bandwagon, but I wasn't necessarily comfortable with Hillary Clinton as a candidate. I was waiting for Big Joe Biden to run, but obviously he had family issues with Bo dying.
That's a very serious figure.
But I feel like Joe Biden was the candidate to run that could have handled running against Trump, that could have handled the insults and all of that stuff, could have bid back. I think he would have been a better person dealing with middle America when you talk about opioid, you talk about work and that kind of thing, and bringing jobs back to America. I think all of those are natural fits for Joe Biden. And
do you think he stood down because of the family issues, or do you think he stood down because of an obligation that Obama made to the Clinton family?
Well, I think it was very early when Joe realized. See, Joe had very complicated family issues. I don't know if people really talk about it a lot, but Joe's
his widowed wife started dating
the son.
His other son.
Yeah, there's one son that passed away, and his wife, the widow, started dating the other son that was still there. So I think that was a lot of ugly, complicated stuff
but see,
that was going on.
We don't know what the fuck's going on in that family. You know, I mean, it's a heartbreaking situation.
I mean, well, look at
like I can't look
now at Junior though. Look at all the shit that he's getting because he's getting divorced.
Yeah.
Trump Jr. You know what I'm saying? I think this is all a bunch of stuff.
But he was.
I think all of that. Not you know.
Was it a pussycat doll? I want a pussycat doll. What was that chick that he was?
She wasn't a pussycat doll. She was.
She was in one of those girl bands.
No, she actually wasn't. No, she's not. No, she was in Puffy's. She was one of Puffy's groups.
No, Danity Kane.
Yeah, she was
Danity Kane. From the media block team, they had to let us know.
Our lovely PRs. Thank you very much for that information.
But did you see what his mom said today? It was in the Post today. I don't know if that most men she knows
aren't
loyal.
Ivana.
Called him out.
I guess most men she knows.
Yeah, which is probably not the biggest pool of, you know.
I think we'll go back to talking about Kanye. I don't think the big backlash on Kanye is just about the fact that he said basically like, well, so there's this interviewer, he's a DJ from New York for Hot 97 as well as Beach Radio 1. His name is Ebro Darden, and Ebro had a phone call with Kanye where Kanye actually told him he loves Donald Trump. So that became that's something new that's been said.
Well, they love him as a politician, or they love him as a person?
I don't know. I mean, like my wife said, I mean, we're Christians. We're supposed to love everybody. You know what I'm saying? But I think he meant that.
Well,
in a
nobody
different way.
loves everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I mean that's
I
the
mean,
thing.
I'm a Christian. I'm a work in progress.
I mean, I like to say I hate people. I don't hate people collectively. I don't hate people individually. But there are some motherfucking individuals I fucking hate, right?
Absolutely.
And I like to go to, I get to church and I like to accept that Jesus is our Lord and Savior. But I ain't Jesus. But I would like to know the context of his love for Trump, and.
Well, I can give you something that's easier to draw reference from. He made the statement, the tweet, that he likes the way Candace Owens thinks.
Right. And you're not a fan.
I'm not a fan of Candace Owens. I think she's extremely detrimental to black culture.
How so?
Well, for one, she's telling lies about the fact that the NRA helped black people against the KKK. That's a full, blatant lie.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that extremists on both the left and the right
They're dangerous.
I mean, I think on both sides there's a lot of dishonesty and a lot of pushing a narrative that they either have not verified or they know is false. But
just like she did.
Her whole mantra, if you distill our ethos to one thing, it is saying that African Americans aren't victims of a white patriarchy, that you can succeed in America if you want to succeed. And that seemed to be the comment that Kanye was co-signing.
Oh yeah, so basically, that's like telling black people that they don't want to succeed. That's why they haven't succeeded, because they don't want to succeed, and we know that's a lie.
Well,
we know there's a large number of black people that would love to succeed and become, more progressive in their life, in their education, in their, in the workforce and corporate America and all these things. It's not their option. It's not.
Well, you don't think in 2018 it's their option? I mean, clearly, like in the 60s, you had a very hard, I wouldn't even call it glass ceiling, I'd call it steel ceiling, where African American men, just forget about women completely, but of all colors, but African American men were only considered for certain types of jobs.
Right.
Okay. But we've seen since the mid 80s a rapid progression till we get to 2018, where universities, elite, and I'm not talking about regular colleges, I'm talking about elite academia, really does have different standards for admission for Asian and Caucasian applicants versus African American and Hispanic, because they're trying to right a historical wrong, right?
Right.
They're trying to make it more of I read an article last week where a member of the governing board of the Academy, the Oscars, one of them proposed not letting in any more white men, irrespective of merit, until we get some parity. Of course, if you're a white guy trying to make it in the film industry and you're doing well, you hear that and you're fucking horrified.
But I think systemically we understand that it's been harder for people of color to
no doubt.
in certain things, and I think that's the whole point of, people are not saying that. I mean, has it gotten better? Yes. Is it a perfect world yet? Of course not. So
it's never going to be a perfect world.
But that doesn't mean you don't start fighting. That doesn't mean you stop fighting for what you believe in. Because 20% is better than 10%, but 30% is better than 20%. So you just have to fight to keep getting that to inch a little bit forward.
But don't you think you can, what I think I think what Kanye was co-signing on Candace, and he wasn't co-signing her generally, was the concept that yes, it could be better in many arenas for African Americans, right? Like in how law enforcement treats African Americans. You can fucking lie. I'm an ex-cop, but I've studied the data. Like, it's easy to pontificate about anecdotal incidents. I've studied the data. Clearly, there's a disparity in both traffic citation enforcement and drug enforcement that negatively impacts African Americans. Anyone that says it doesn't happen is a fucking liar, because they're ignorant of the reality. But I do think, even though it's not a perfect world, everyone today in 2018 has the best chance of succeeding in America than they do anywhere except a couple of super wealthy Northwestern European countries, right?
Right.
Like,
I give you that.
I mean, but
the best opportunity doesn't mean 100% for people. Like,
or that it's
the option.
But anyone born rich,
well, here's my problem, right, with Kanye in reference to Candace Owens, right? If there is something specific that you like her philosophy about, then be specific about that particular thing, because when you make a broad statement about you like the way she thinks, that can mean any number of things. And Kanye West is extremely influential to young people, young black people in general.
Do you think he's still, or you think he's reached a late 20s, 30 demographic?
He's from Chicago.
Right.
Chicago has some of the worst violence in this country,
right.
and dealing with the young people. And so when a person like Kanye embraces something, people pay attention. Young black people pay attention.
But don't you think he's selling to young black people in Chicago? Look, get to fucking work, and you can succeed. Don't let other, because honestly, I know.
But everything isn't just about just.
No, it's not.
Everything's just not about that.
But people
it's
are
not
born.
That simple. Not that simple to
like
make things understand.
White men that were born to privilege had a lot more fucking opportunity than I did to do shit.
Of course.
Right?
But you're still white.
Well, no, I get it. Okay, and I get that there are some parts of my life that I've benefited from whiteness. I wouldn't be, but in 2018, you know, like there's a Chris Rock joke where he said even the one-legged janitor wouldn't trade places with me if it meant he had to become black. And I just don't think that's true in America anymore. I think there are plenty of white kids that would like to be black kids.
I think you're thinking in terms of yourself, Charles. I know you to be a very progressive person. I know you as a white man in America, and I know that you don't think that way because you don't believe that in your heart.
But I'm not saying I'm saying that there's a lot of other Americans like me that don't, and I think we're still saying to most of, I think the left is just as much to blame as the right for creating the monster that is Trump. But when you tell white people in West Virginia that you saw on the trail with Vice magazine that they have white privilege, that they're like, well, fuck you, man. I've been fucking working in a coal mine every fucking day. Fuck you. And I do, you know, and then you have the left. I mean, honestly, I believe that the left wants to create a system where everyone's on the dole because it buys them votes. Okay, I think that the left, I think we clearly benefit from having immigration with Mexico, right?
Right.
And we need to have a more reciprocal open border agreement with Mexico that allows people to get AFIST and DNA'd and carded and pay taxes, and we need to encourage it. There are other parts of the world, like immigrants from India are destroying a lot of the tech industry jobs, entry-level jobs, right? Because it's becoming globalized, or they're coming here and they're willing to work for a lot cheaper than people that went to college. But that's
or
just
outsourcing,
right. But that's just it's very detrimental to the African American community and the Hispanic American native non-immigrant community, right, in the tech industry. And I think that the Democrats look at it as we want these votes, so we don't want to have a rule of law. The Republicans don't want a rule of law either because they want to exploit immigrants as these new type of slaves. You know, I think it's all exploitative, and it's all about this new mantra on the left that you can't work hard and succeed. And I think that's what Kanye's saying. I think Kanye's saying, look, fuck, I'm fucking Kanye. But I didn't become Kanye by fucking bitching, pissing, and moaning. I got out and busted my fucking ass.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people out there busting ass that are never going to be
Well,
Kanye.
yeah, but
you know
white, black, yellow, brown, whatever.
Right. But I think for him, he understands who he is. Like, it's just like a LeBron James. When people make statements about LeBron James, just shut up and dribble. LeBron James knows that he has to act. He knows, but the whole thing is that he knows he has to react a certain way because of who looks up to him. Now, are there white, Latina, Indian, Muslim children that all look up to LeBron? Of course. But LeBron understands culturally that most young black people.
Okay, but when Laura Ingraham said that, that's clearly fucking racism, right? Okay, and there's no excuse to tell any professional athlete that they shouldn't have discourse off the court about political things, right?
But that's why I'm willing to say the same thing, not just about a white woman like Laura Ingraham, but also from a black woman that I feel is being irresponsible with her language and her quote facts.
Candace Owens is famous today for being a contrarian, right? Don't you think? I mean, look, Candace Owens could be this person that we don't know, we never heard of, or she could be this famous contrarian. You know, I think that you know, we gotta, I mean, she's doing her shtick well.
It's dangerous when a cultural icon like a Kanye, who sells sneakers to millions of people, who sells clothing to millions of people, and sells music to millions of people, to be irresponsible as to make such a broad statement around a person who, you know, gets a lot of things wrong and potentially, you know, just really just puts this information out there, like you said, just to be a contrarian and just to get these likes.
Well, I don't know that. I mean, maybe she believes it, but I mean, she's creating this persona based on being a contrarian. But I don't think if you distill her message to, hey, you should work hard and you'll succeed, which I think is what Kanye was co-signing. And obviously, I'm a huge Kanye fan. Like, I really think he is what white people perceived Elvis to be, but Elvis wasn't really him because Elvis was stealing black music, right? But I think Kanye is, I hate to call Kanye Black Elvis, but I swear to God, the first time I saw him before, and it was at a festival. Festival concerts aren't fucking supposed to be great, right? The festival, and it was just like, fuck, this motherfucker's Elvis.
Well, he's a captivating performer. I'll give him that. That's got nothing to do with political.
But I do think
I can give him that kind of.
But I think he's saying, hey, y'all, get out there and fucking work hard. Don't wallow.
Well, then he needs to explicitly say that, because he's not scared to mince his words. Obviously, we watched him throughout his career. He needs to explicitly say that and not make a broad statement so that young people have to go and listen to all this bullshit that Candace Owens is spewing and then try to figure out what it was that Kanye meant.
But don't you think by listening to her, you learn something even if you disagree with it? That's one of the things I don't think we're listening
to. You learn how some people can be locked into a view of something and have no fact behind it. But that's kind of what you learn. I don't learn anything that, I don't know, all I ever is I never knew a black woman could be such a contrarian and just so can spew such misinformation. It's just really, it's mind blowing.
I do think that.
Well, let me ask you this while we're talking about this. Does the political views of an entertainer sway your perception of the entertainer? Now I've talked about this before about criminality, right? Like Jerry Lee Lewis, people like this, who dated young women. Elvis Presley dated young women. People like Ike Turner and all these people that have abused women over the years. James Brown, even Bill Withers. A lot of people have done very ugly things. We won't even get into the R. Kellys of the world and things like that. I know with criminality, people will let their favorites slide because of the fact that they love them so much. They can look the other way when some of these things come.
Well, I think you have to.
Because we vilify R. Kelly for his sexual proclivity, but we made James Brown a legend, even though he battered many women. Like,
I do think obviously with a mutual friend of ours, I've had to deal with this on the front line with an accusation against a local area rapper that was, in my opinion, completely unfounded and he was innocent of. But I had to deal with people making assumptions about him, and I've gotten in a bunch of arguments about it. And of course, I to some degree are a ride or die motherfucker. Right. I'm with my people. Fuck y'all, they're my people. But I do believe he was wrongfully accused. But I will tell you with
but that's criminality. Like we said, we differentiate with the criminality. Can you differentiate
with Chris Brown?
Politically?
Chris Brown,
right?
Like Chris Brown and R. Kelly were the two only. I'm 46. Okay, so in my lifetime, Chris Brown and R. Kelly were the two guys that I was fans of. Like I remember when Chris Brown first came out. I mean, it was like, what the fuck, this motherfucker is the next Michael Jackson.
That's
right?
what we all said. He had a very big Hollywood career lined up for himself.
And I can't. And I've heard stories from people that were familiar with the incident that she was being very difficult or whatever. But I don't give a fuck, right? You can't beat a female like that unless you're trash, right? And so it did impact my opinion of. With politics, though, unless you're advocating for Nazism or you're advocating for segregation, I can't. There are parts of the Nation of Islam that are very radical and to the point where they don't think black people and white people should live together, right?
Right.
And I can't co-sign that. And so if you subscribe to segregation, whether you're white or you're black, I can't co-sign that. But for the most part, when, I didn't care that Charles Barkley was a Republican for most of the time. I don't care that, I'm trying to think of some liberal basketball player, but, I never cared about my basketball heroes' politics, I'm not a LeBron fan, so it didn't matter either way for me.
Right.
I recognize that he's a great basketball player, but I'm just, for me, it was Michael Jordan and it was Penny Hardaway.
Well, you remember Michael Jordan famously said, I don't pick a side because I want Republicans and Democrats to buy my shoes.
Right.
Which I feel is a cop-out, It could be a bit of a cop-out.
The reality is that during that generation, Barkley got the most crap, but Jordan was probably the worst person, right? Jordan clearly, he owns prisons, Jordan clearly was worried about making Jordan money, but Jordan's also had, this dad's murder. He's had a lot of personal tragedy too. I don't know.
It doesn't excuse it.
Nah, but I don't really care about people's politics. I will be friends. It's like I said, as long as you're not a bigot or spewing hate, there's nothing. Everything else in between, I'm cool with. I find you have interesting conversations with socialists.
So I don't agree with a lot of what Kanye is saying right now.
Right.
Would
you still be friends with him?
Well, I don't know, man. I'm friends with you. We don't agree on everything.
Yeah, but
See,
that's the thing. I would rather be around people I disagree with.
I could choose not to spend money with them. I don't agree with you. I don't have anything against you personally, but I don't support your views, so I don't want to support you financially. That's a choice I can make.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. For me, if you're not just a shitty, evil person, if I like your art I don't really care about, or I like your performance. Like James Harden could come out and say he was a communist, but I'm still gonna want to watch him ball because I like the Rockets and shit. And I mean, he's not my favorite.
I think that's pretty strong. I think if people found James Harden said he was a communist, I think a lot of people would cut him off.
Well, first of all, the red would still match. But no, I mean, I just wouldn't care, I'd like.
That's an easy argument.
Me and Kat like Clint Capella. He's our best favorite player, but he's only our favorite player because when we were all at Dwight Howard's birthday party, when we met Clint Capella, he was so young. He still had the label that he didn't. You're supposed to take off his suit coat, and he had the vents still stitched up, right? And he was just so young and nice, and he was being friendly to everybody and dancing with everybody. And I thought, damn man, this is a nice kid. Like a genuine, sweet, sincere kid. And I don't care if Chris Paul and James Harden clearly the best players on the team, but Capella's my favorite guy, and then Gerald Green, and
there we go.
Just and because they both seem like they're just on the court like genuine, sincere people that are really trying. We've all seen Harden quit. I don't know, but I don't care about any of their politics. I don't care about any of it as long as they're not doing.
Capella came out and said he was a supporter of Antifa. You wouldn't have a problem with that.
No.
See, communism was too vague.
We're not
dealing in the Cold War anymore.
Right,
so communism, that's not a good.
First of all, I think
that's why I threw Antifa at you.
I think that I wouldn't have a problem. I think there are legitimate people that support the underlying, like, foundational firmament of anti-fascism, without being. Because I think a lot of anti-fascists are actually fascists, masquerading.
Without being masked up with Molotov.
Right.
I can understand.
So, and I don't, but.
Because that's the only problem I have with Antifa is when, if you want to come out and fight the fight, but we can't fight Klansmen that mask themselves up with masks on ourselves. Well, that to me, that's a huge contradiction.
A lot of that also. Okay, so we had Georgia this week, and I forgot the town.
Oh yeah, that's right. They did have a supremacist rally this week.
But the media skews shit so bad. They had like 36 dudes. Like I found a real count. It's like 3 dozen, and your counter protesters were several hundred. There's just not that many Americans co-signing neo-Nazis anymore. But
out loud.
Okay.
That's the problem.
Well,
because most people tend to be indifferent about racism, and that's where the problems come in.
Here's a question: do you have more respect for a racist in a sheet or a covert racist? I'd rather fuck with a racist in a sheet because you know where that motherfucker stands because he's brave enough to wear a sheet.
The covert racist smile in your face and then kill your opportunities behind closed doors.
And it's not obviously not just race. I mean, we deal with that people. That's the thing. And I don't remember if it's Jordan, that the Canadian professor is getting all the heat, Jordan Peterson. He has this new 40 rules thing, and I think it might have been something he wrote. But it was something somebody wrote, and I read so much shit constantly, but about how when you realize that someone is actively working against you, then you just got to cut them the fuck out your life.
Right. If you can. Some people don't have the power to do this.
Yeah, and
there's a dynamic in certain places where you realize.
Like I have recently found out excess to the point that they would try to sabotage, right? And it's like me, my intention is just fuck y'all. I don't want to be around y'all, talk to y'all anymore. I don't care anymore because I've got enough people in my. I'd rather it be someone that was brave enough to be a dick to me to my face than be a dick behind my back. And I think that's one of the sad things about America now is that it's a lot of cowardice nowadays.
Well, people hide behind, like they say, the fake pages, and people are trolling nowadays, and that's what a lot of people utilize the internet and social media for, to kind of fuck with people. Basically.
And I think a lot. I like newspaper sites that don't allow anonymous content. Like you've got to sign in with your Facebook. To
You know who literally has the most racist comment section I've ever seen?
TMZ.
Oh my God.
It's fucking crazy.
It's horrible.
Like the couple of times I've been on TMZ this year, for my legal work, I'm actually a real lawyer, y'all. You see these comments, they're like, motherfucker, I will fight you in the fucking fuck you. But it's all some hidden anonymous person. And if you required people to link their Facebook page to it, I don't think you see that kind of shit. I don't know.
Because you can't really fake Facebook pages, right?
Right.
Well, I guess the Russians figured it out.
Right, but they're actively looking to stop. I don't know. Waffle House shooting,
Gotcha.
Tennessee. the man takes the gun, a true hero, American hero, unarmed, takes the gun away from him while he's reloading. Obviously, that's not a political issue, but it has been politicized. And, you know, Sean King came out immediately afterwards and said, this guy's a known bigot. Turns out he was a known fucking bigot. He had his guns taken away, his dad gave them back to him.
That's the biggest tragedy about
Right, the people, but what do you think that are people that are using this as yet another vehicle to attack the Second Amendment? Do you think that immediately after the shooting, do you think that's appropriate? Do you think that, what are your feelings on the Second Amendment in the wake of all this?
Well, I mean, you know, we talk about the right to carry arms, and I carry arms, my wife carries arms, and I'm not against that right, but I think that these laws are very loose, and I think that the reason the laws are very loose is because the gun lobby, aka the NRA, spend millions and millions of dollars with politicians to keep these rules kind of loose. We don't need AR-15s to hunt. Nobody hunts with an AR-15.
But in our
that's the only provision that keeps getting thrown out there for the sales of AR-15s and guns like that to people keeps getting thrown out.
But most of these assault rifles are not, it's just the appearance. Like, if you want to have a regulation, it should be like on the size of the magazine, right? Because the appearance of assault rifle doesn't change the size of the bullet that it shoots, right?
Right.
It's just whether or not, like the bump stocks, which create a damn pert near automatic presence, or these banana clips that you can put like 50 or 100 rounds in, or with shotguns, the street sweepers and kind of stuff.
I think there needs to be some kind of situation where people that own certain type of guns need to be in touch with law enforcement every couple of months. You know what I'm saying? So that law enforcement can do their check, make sure this person doesn't have a warrant, hasn't committed another crime.
Doesn't that sound like an infringement, though? I mean, in the Second Amendment says your right to bear arms shall not be infringed.
Well, yeah, but it doesn't sound like infringement to all the people out there that always want to RIP when children get shot or innocent people get shot, and we say we need to do something about it, but no one wants to do anything about it in terms of their guns. Look, I don't own an AR-15, so I don't have a problem with that. I think people that own assault rifles, we need to know who they are. We need to have a better job of knowing who they are. We need the records to catch up a lot quicker so that when they commit crimes, like the kid in Parkland who's walking around, getting into it with people, threatening people, all this kind of shit. They need to have an idea of, you know, they didn't do the due diligence on this kid. They didn't look at all the different and all of that. So there are human errors within the system that we can fix without getting rid of the Second Amendment. And people that love, here's what I have.
But the Second Amendment is not about hunting, it's about fighting the government.
Yeah, but the majority of people that talk about don't take away my guns are the people that want to fight the government with their guns. What kind of ironic bullshit is that?
But I don't necessarily think it's that they want to fight the government. I think it's that they want to have the ability to fight the government. They have to.
No, it's the people that translate the Second Amendment as the right for them to build their own militia, like the motherfuckers that took over the National Park a couple of years ago. They just went in National Park with a bunch of guns saying, we're staying here and you can't take our guns from us. And there's a lot of people that manipulate the Second Amendment for their own personal fucking bullshit.
Very simple. I think the manipulation has been more the jurisprudence that's finding nuance that doesn't exist. But I do think,
and when the forefathers the founding fathers brought this shit forward, we were just out of war. You know, we were fighting against being colonized. It's not just, you know, people pervert the Second Amendment for their own bullshit rights nowadays. You know what I'm saying? Does it allow you the right to carry a gun and protect your family and all that? Yeah. Is it a God-given right? No, because God didn't write the fucking Constitution.
Well,
men wrote the Constitution. I'm tired of people saying it's God-given fucking right.
God don't want people killing people either.
No, but I mean, don't we always talk about separating, church and state? And they keep saying, every time they talk about the Second Amendment, they talk about the God-given fucking right. That's a perversion. That's a perversion of it.
See, I don't really think I think it's specific to the United States. And I think it is clearly, like, if we want to overturn the Second Amendment, we should do it through the process of changing the Constitution.
That's not going to happen. They spend too much money. It's not going to happen. And then here's the thing. People
criminals will be the only ones with guns.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Well, people want gun reform, but just not their guns. They don't want their gun reform.
But you look at Chicago. Chicago, it's almost impossible for a legitimate consumer of firearms to have a firearm. You can't carry it. You got to go through this huge process to buy one. It's super hard to even buy one. It's super hard to even keep one in your house. When I moved to Harvard, like, I went straight from being a policeman and going to Harvard Law School, right? So straight from being required to carry a gun 24/7 if I'm out the house, because that was my department policy. If I wasn't drinking, I was carrying, all right, and I was required to. all right, to not even be able to have a gun in my home because my home was owned by the university and I rented it from the university. So, and it was fine with me. Like I got there, I just put my guns in storage and it was it. But I mean, there are a lot of people that have a lot of them. Their feeling of safety and security are attached to that firearm, and I mean, I just think we need greater consequences for people that violate, like this dad that gave the guns back to the lunatic.
Yeah, exactly.
Like 10 years, 20 years, throw them in the fucking can. Let's have a consequence for people that are doing straw purchases, buying guns for felons and then giving them to felons. Put the person that did the straw purchase in the can for a long time.
But this is my thing again, it goes back to what I was saying. If they were monitoring the owners of AR-15s, then they would have known that the father had to take his gun from the son for whatever reason. They probably would have taken the guns from the father. Now there's no guns to give back. I mean, it's all hypothetical, but I'm just saying. Right. I think something has to be done. We can't keep leaning on the Second Amendment as a reason for everybody that has a gun to keep a gun. That's all I'm saying.
See, I think the solution...
And just do it with assault rifles. Just do it with fucking assault rifles.
But it's like a slippery slope. But here's, okay, so let's talk about school shootings, okay? So school shootings, I don't think we're ever gonna get gun reform on a widespread basis. So my thing, especially in the Wake of Parkland, was look, we need to create a situation where these schools are more like banks and they're protected and they have safety doors and they're harder to get in and out of, okay? So instead, what has happened is we've just seen all these protests, we've seen no changes, and then Friday in El Paso, and oddly enough, at Parkland Middle School in El Paso, same name, this poor 11-year-old kid, we have our National Walkout Day, where all these kids that are safe and secure in their school are being told by their school teachers and administrators, we're walking out for gun control. And this 11-year-old kid walks out and gets hit by a car and killed. And if I sent my kid to school, my 11-year-old son to school, to the safe sanctity of school, and he got put out by some radical decision to, because clearly most teachers are progressives and liberal, that this liberal movement to curtail the Second Amendment had him walking across a busy street and killed, I'd lose my damn mind. I mean, we go to school, instead of talking about gun, let's fix the thing and make schools more safe. Let's put more armed policemen that aren't fucking cowards, like the ones in Broward. That rhymes. I should start rapping. Being a coward in Broward. I mean, really create, if we spend so much money at every fucking Chase Bank, ain't nobody coming in there and shooting that place up and getting that money. Why are Chase banks safer than our schools? It's insane.
Well, I mean, it's obviously, a bank is a private institution. A bank is a government building, government-owned building like a school is. My problem is we don't do a good enough job of keeping the bad element out of the school. Our schools should be a lot better. Our classrooms should be. There's this one school in America that's considered the safest school in America. They implemented a lot of good shit to deter like mass shootings or whatever.
Okay.
Every classroom locks down automatically, double bolted. The window into the classroom. They have smoke alarms that go off. They have noise that kind of throws the guy off. They have all these different things to deter this person from actually getting to a student. A lot of times the protocol is to get the kids out of the school. Right. But sometimes Parkland, you just put them into the hallway where they're now in the scopes of this guy. Right. If we had our classrooms protected to where you could lock the kids in there so they don't have to put their desk and the teacher's desk up against the door to barricade the door.
Right.
If the stores, all the rooms locked down, like there's somebody in the school, lock the school down. So now no students can get out of the rooms and go out and be in the path of one of these madmen, and the guys can't get into any of the rooms. Then we determine with these smoke bombs that go off it's like every 20 feet in the hallway, they have these different things where they can come down and isolate this guy in the area. You know what I'm saying? Right. They can keep the school locked so that he doesn't run out of the school and get away. You know what I'm saying?
Sounds like a great idea.
So my thing is, if we're going to invest money into schools, let's invest into that kind of stuff and not into an officer that needs to be on the street dealing with street crime instead of having him in a classroom.
I think you need some of the both, but I clearly think the security systems are more important than an officer. And we've seen so many. Did you see the deaf guy in Oklahoma?
Yeah, because they couldn't hear him.
Dude, but he wouldn't even care.
He
had a rod with a handle on it. We had that shooting of the guy with the metal pipe in his hand in New York a few weeks ago, but the metal pipe was bent around to look like a gun, and he was running up to people and pretending to shoot them. So I could see the perception difference here. But this is a guy, I think he was Hispanic, fully deaf, fully mute. upset because there was a big car wreck and then a fight, and was going up to the cops to talk to him because he was upsetly frustrated trying to communicate with him. And they shot and killed him for carrying a rod. Like, what happened? See, this new use of force doctrine that changed in the late 90s, right, was when I was ending my police career, was, it prioritized getting home safely, right? It put the officer getting home safe as the preeminent consideration. So if you feel danger, you pull that fucking trigger. Whereas like us, like we didn't unass our gun unless we thought it was time to kill somebody, which was almost never. Like you see a dude with a pipe, you go fight that dude with a fucking pipe, right? If someone's resisting, he hits you, you hit him back twice as hard. You don't fucking shoot people. And this new thing where we're just fucking shooting people, God, it's fucking terrifying. And it's like, that's the thing, your job is supposed to be dangerous. That's why, and there's a mythology, and a lot of police friends, but you are fucking around 97% of the time, right? 97, I'm just talking about patrol, and I'm talking about 97% of the time, you are driving your car, or sitting eating somewhere for free or half price, drinking free coffee, chit-chat with people. At least with me, like I was a windows down cop, like I knew everyone in South Houston, and everyone liked me, they all, but if you was fucking up, like get to your house, you're beating your wife, I'm gonna fucking lock you up. And if you want to fight about it, we'll fight about it, then I'll lock you up, whatever. But we've got this culture where cops are just pulling a trigger to avoid the possibility of getting hurt, right?
Not the possibility of being killed.
Right, and it's just, that's what's crazy, is it's the, and obviously you can't speak collectively about all police, because I think there are a great number of wonderful police officers that don't want to shoot any. Or the guy that was shot, the white guy that was shot in the hotel in Arizona, he was from Garland, I think, or Dallas. This was about a year ago, but he was on the ground complying, and the officer still shot him. Well, it turned out his AR-15 that he shot him with had the words "you're fucked" stenciled into the AR-15. And I think we need to get better. And like, you probably haven't heard about this incident because there's a white dude, so the media doesn't really care.
Right.
But I think what we have to do with policing is, one, we have to end the war on drugs and stop making police balance budgets with writing tickets, because it creates, we have this nation of citizen suspects that has to change. But we also have to get better about screening bullies that are attracted to law enforcement to be police. Like, you should be attracted to law enforcement because you want to be a public servant, or because your dad or mom did it, that kind of shit. There is a section of people that are attracted to doing it because they like the power, right?
Absolutely. That's all colors.
Right.
All colors. I've seen it on all sides. I've seen white people
the worst
to bully black people. I've seen black cops do it to go back to bully dudes in their neighborhood that they grew up with, that they weren't tough enough to do anything about with them when they were in school, type of shit.
The worst shit that I'd ever seen, and me and the officer ended up shoving each other in the officer's room over it, was an African American officer arrested a African American college student at a nightclub that he was working an extra job. I was working night shift. And his position was that this little uppity motherfucker, I'm arresting for PI. And I'm like, the fucking kid ain't drunk. I'm not fucking booking him for fucking PI.
Right.
Because he just went on and on about uppity N-word. And I was young, I was like 22, 23, and it blew my fucking mind. I was like, you're black, he's black, and you're mad at him because he's educated and trying to be somebody? You're mad at him because he had the temerity to argue with you? And that's a big thing that a lot of cops don't get. People get to fucking argue with you. In fact, people get to call you names and motherfuck you and whatever because you're the public servant. And servant means fucking servant, right?
Sometimes. I see the white kids buck the police all the time. They square up with the I just saw a video.
But everybody should. I saw that, but this kid still got his ass kicked.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think those things go viral because of the narrative that, if it's a black guy, they would have shot him. But cops fight with black kids and white kids just about the same. The shootings, enough. But the thing is, as a public servant, it's your job to fucking take people's shit. And it's not fair and it's not right, but that's the way it is. And that's what we're moving away from. We're moving away from where cops have a feeling, you gotta take people's shit. Like, you gotta get motherfucked. And as long as they're not breaking the law, they get the motherfucker.
Right.
Because you have this job where you do, and there's this, and people are gonna argue, but they're fucking lying. You get to fuck around so much. Like, all the girls wanna talk to you because they have this thing about those uniforms. You're just chilling the fuck out. I mean, it's not on the status of being Bernard Bumby Freeman and Pimp C, we superstars. But it's about as close as most of the motherfuckers ever get.
Men in uniforms win all day. Firemen, policemen,
right. And you can look like
doctors and scrubs, all that shit.
And you were just, like, you had this car that you can drive as fast as you want. And I'm telling you, there was really, gumball's fun. But if you had lights and sirens on the freeway doing 140 and your shit shake, there's nothing funner. Like, I had to go to Conroe one time to pick up a prisoner like 3 in the morning. I made it from like fucking south of downtown Houston to Conroe. People not from here will not know. It's a good hour drive. I think I made it in 23 minutes. I was pinned.
Sirens,
I was
right?
pinned in. It was 3 in the morning. No one's on the road. I had the overheads on, not the siren, but just the overhead lights. Because back in the day when your siren was above your head, that's why I can't hear out of this ear. Because they moved all the sirens to the bumper because they were fucking killing all our hearing. A lot of guys filed claims about it. I made it like 23. I was pinned at 140 the whole time, man. It was fucking awesome. Anyone that said, one time I jumped, okay, if you got, this media block is on Macau, right?
Right.
If you go out of Macau to Hobby Airport, or y'all flown out of Hobby, right? There's a big train track with a big bump on it. I hit that motherfucker one time chasing some people. Dude, I hit my head on the ceiling so hard it damn near knocked me out, but I hit it going so fast. I flew in the air, Dukes of Hazzard, so I banged my head on the roof. If you're not wearing your seatbelt, you cannot jump shit, because the car is gonna go and you're gonna fly up. But my 2 rear windows fell down and was rolled back up when I hit the ground. And I'm taking the shot, I was like, man, I don't know what happened. And it's like, you know what happened, you knocked those motherfuckers off the rail, driving like a lunatic. And that kind of shit's fun. You know, it's fun at 3 in the morning. It wouldn't be fun during the day because it's a lot of lives you can risk.
Right.
But, I mean, you never drove fast, right?
No, not really. I never drive faster than the posted speed limit.
Yeah.
And that's all we're gonna say about that. Charles, thanks for one more great episode of Trilogix, man. Thanks for having you as always.
I love doing this. Thank you for having me, sir.
It's always good to agree to disagree. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Trilogix, and keep it trill. That was fun.